starting in Vav Amud Aleph by Tana Rabbanan. It's maybe 12 lines from the top. 10 lines from the top. Tana Rabbanan. Bolarava. We're talking about a city that's a circle and you have to make it into a square. Because that's what you do to give it the tchum, give it these extra corners. Where was that introduced? Was that introduced in the Mishnah? Yeah, the Mishnah started off. It was a brisa and hey. That merubas, that agula ism lazavir. Okay, we have to give it a corners. Question is, where do you do the corners? Do them out to any direction. So it says meraba b'ribu olam. So you do it to the directions of the world. Nice and final, it's final. You put the north to the north. You make that a flat, a straight line, and you put the south to the south. If you don't know how to be able to tell what's the north and what's the south, well, you look at the stars. Agala b'tzafin, ba'akriv b'darim. So Agala is a combination of stars. In the Steinsaltz it said Ursa Major. Okay. And Akrab, Scorpio, is to the south. And that's how you'll be able to tell what's the north and what's the south. And that's where you make the straight lines around this circular city. Says we have another way of doing it. If you don't know the stars, it's not a problem. You can look at the sun when it rises in the different seasons, and you're able to get the what's the directions. With a place where the sun rises on a long day, on a summer day, where it sets on a summer day, that's the north. Okay, in the northern hemisphere, so the sun is going to be higher. It's going to be more to the north. And in the winter, it's going to be more to the south. So and the opposite is in the winter. On the short days, it's in the south. It's Kufas Nisan, Kufas Tishrei, when it's in the middle. That's in the spring and in the fall. So then it's just in the directly east, and it sets directly west. Okay. This pasuk makes things a little complicated. Pasuk says that it goes to the north, it goes to the south, it surrounds to the north. It goes to the south by day. It goes to the north by night. I think with the picture could help if I can get that. Just give me one moment. Okay. Let's share the screen. You should be able to see what's going on here. What's happening is, if you follow this line, So it's on the north now because it's a nice long day. So, but during the day, it goes towards the south. It's coming around. And at night, it goes to the north. So, Hailach Chaldarim Bayoim, is this pasuk going to work? B'Seiviv al Tzafim Balayla, because of the, it's called the axis. Now, if you go, as you go more to the winter, getting lower, more to the south here, so then it's doing that, that circle. So it's going to the south by day, it's starting in the north, but it's going over to the south and coming back to the north, and it goes around to the north by night. That's considered the night. Down over there is the night. That's what it's showing. Seivev al tzafim balayla. Seivev hoilech haruach al pnei mizrach al pnei ma'ariv. Pamim malachtan, pamim savavtan. I'm not sure how to translate that. Sometimes it goes around and sometimes. Go ahead.
They said they used Jacob's staff. Columbus used Jacob's staff to navigate to America, to the U.S. So, by a Jewish mathematician who used it for the Gemara.
Wait, is that a note in the?
No, I just read it in a different place.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, Rabbi Sharshia. Rabbi Sharshia says, "Lesson Alani Klali. You can't use these rules." The Tanya, it was taught in a brisa. He quotes a brisa. He says, "Liyatzachama me'elam mekeren mizrachas tzvainis, v'shaka bekeren ma'aravis tzvainis." It never is 100%. It never goes fully from the northeast and sets in the northwest. It's never fully from the southeast to the southwest. So you can't use these rules. Amar Shmuel says, "Ain't kavas nisan nifelas ela barba reviya yayim, betchilas yayim, betchilas layla, bechatzi yayim, bechatzi layla." Okay, the way that we'll do this. Basically, just to simplify everything. So if there's 365 days in the year, let's say, so it almost works out that if it would be 364, then that would be perfect. That would be that every year would start on the same day of the week. Because what would it be? 52. It would work out. 7 into 364 would be 52. It would work out 52 weeks would be perfect. So there's one day off. Now, together with that one day, you also have, is it 12 hours or 6 hours?
Six, right?
6 hours. So you have a day in 6 hours. It's a total of, instead of 24 hours, it's a total of 30 hours. So every year, you're going to be 30 hours removed from the week. So, okay, now there's 4 seasons. So what you do is you have each season, basically it would be 180, it would be 90, it's 91 days per season. 91 days would give you 364. And then you need 30 hours, right? 91 days would give you 364 for each season, but then so you have to divide the 30 into 4 as well. So it's 91 days and 7.5 hours. 91 days and 7.5 hours, because that would be 28 plus 4 halves would make it 30. So every season is 91 days and 7.5 hours. Okay, so let's see it now. Shmuel says, "Ein tkuvas nisan lefelas ela barba reviya yaim." Tkufas nisan can only be in one of the 4 quarters of the day. So what is that? Will either start at the beginning of the day, now, if that's the case, it starts at the beginning of the day. Let's take that as an example. So when's Tkufas Tammuz going to come? When's the next season? Now we're talking about the vernal equinox, Nisan. It's the beginning of the day. So Tkufas Tammuz is going to have to be, it's going to have to be 91 days later, no problem. And 7.5 hours, right? 91 days is a multiple of 7, correct? Yeah, 7 times 13. 7 times 10 is 70, plus 21 is 91. So it's 13. So it would work out perfectly, except for those 7.5 hours. Okay, so now, an hour and a half into the next quarter of the day, because 7.5 hours. Or 7.5 hours into the day. So it's either 1.5 hours into the day or 7.5 hours into the day or night, because it's always 7.5 hours later. So that could be half a day would be 6 plus 1.5. So it's either 1.5 or. Now we have it again. It's easy. I just need to complete the 7.5. And I do that with adding an hour and a half. So it's really 6 hours plus an hour and a half. So that would be either 3 hours into the day, because I'm counting the hour and a half going before. So an hour and a half plus an hour and a half is 3 hours into the day. Or it's 9 hours into the day, because it's 7.5 plus 1.5, when the last one fell out. And then the winter solstice, the Tkufas Tevis, that will only be either 4.5 hours into the day or 10.5 hours into the day, which is either adding an hour and a half to the 3 or adding 7.5 to the 3. That's from Okay, that we explained at the beginning in order to get these calculations. Okay. Now, to explain one more thing in order to work out this Gemara. If every tkufa is 7.5 hours away from the last one, because it's 91 days, it means it falls out on the same day, just 7.5 hours off. So there are 7 mazalas, and they are Kaichav, Levana, Shemesh, Tzedek, Madim, Chama, and Noiga. I forget what Kaichav is. I'm not going to translate it. Anyway, whatever Kaichav is, the moon, the sun, Tzedek, I think is Jupiter, Mars. Shabsai. So again, Kaichav, the moon, Shabsai is Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, and Niga, which I think is translated as Venus. So
Kochab is Mercury.
Mercury. Okay, good. So what's going to happen is because it's 7, because these are multiples of 7, and then it starts again. So because it's going to be 7.5 hours later, it's really only going to be one. It's going to fall out a half hour within the last. No, it's going to fall out within the first one again. So let's say it started on Kochav, one of the equinox or whatever. Then the next one, the solstice, is going to be, it's 7.5 hours later, it's going to be the same mazel, just a half hour into it.
Which one is Kochav in reference to how far from the either Aretz or from the sun? How many planets in the Galgal?
That I don't know. I forget what the Rambam says. I think he says they're all within a certain Galgal.
Rambam, it doesn't seem to say Kochav. It says Eretz, Yereach, Kochav, Noiga, Chama, Madin, Tzedek, Shabtai.
Does he put them all into one Galgal? I think he says they're all in one Galgal. And then we see, the way we see it is different. He has like a funny thing over there. But whatever the case is, now talking just about the times of when it's going to fall out, it's going to be within the same one, just a half hour into it. And then the next one is going to start the next one. One after that will be a half hour into the next one. If Tkufas Nisan falls out in Tzedek, in Jupiter, then it's always going to be, it's going to break the trees. It's going to be, I guess, very stormy. And if Tevis, the winter solstice, if that falls in Jupiter, that it's always going to be that it's going to dry out the grain. But that's only that's only if the Moilad falls out either in Levana or Tzedek. So then when you have both of that combination of the solstice falls out in Tzedek and the Moilad of that month fell out in...
Is that called the perfect storm?
Yeah, then you have that...
the perfect storm. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else I should have mentioned over there? No, we made it through. Tanarabanan, starting the Brisa. Merabeya Seir. If you square a city, when do you do that? The city is circular. So Isa Kimin Tabla Merabas. So you make it into a square. Then you put corners on it. I'm sorry. Then you put edges on it. So and those you also do as a square. Okay, I can show you a picture, that would be great. Otherwise, we'll have to draw it. Okay, it's giving me all the combinations here.
Tunas Hashemayim from Keller helps with some of these things.
Interesting.
I'll show you too. That's why I asked about the planets. So something different.
Uh-huh. Okay.
In
Here,
Qumran, the calendar was 364 days. That's what
in where?
in Qumran, in
Oh, really?
the scrolls, yeah, the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Uh-huh. And did they add in an extra day every few months or something? They would have to, I guess,
don't know.
didn't last long enough to make a problem.
Yeah.
Mhm. So they would be 30 hours off a year. That's interesting. Okay. So here's what we're looking at. The Brisa says that if I have a city that's a circle, now this city is 2,000 by 2,000, as Abaya is going to explain shortly. We'll see. Okay, the city is 2,000 by 2,000. Now what I need to do is I need to make it square. So you see, I add those corners to it. I just square. How much larger is it? We'll see, a square is always, according to the Gemara, larger than a circle by a quarter. Imagine this is in boxes. Let's say there would be 4 boxes here. So I would divide each one in half diagonally, and I would have those corners sticking out, right? I'd have the outer corners that would be added. Okay, now I add 2,000 amas to each side. That's my tchum. And I add them as squares. Okay, then now it's telling me when I calculate the corner here, so he says, don't measure a corner from the vertex, from the corner. Don't measure 2,000 amas out like that. That you don't want to do that. If you do that, let's go up a chunk. You're going to be left with, if you measure 2,000 amas out, you're going to be left with the tchum being only 1,428. Now, for us, I think it would be 1,414, I think. We would do the hypotenuse squared. It would end up being the square root of 2, which would be 1,414 or whatever. So we would, but anyway, the way it works out here is that a diagonal line.
Square roots with alternatives really don't mean much, you know what I mean? Okay.
Okay. Okay, let's do it the way Rashi does it for the alternatives. What we're looking for is to be able to add 2/5, and it's going to equal 2,000. So the way we do it is like this. Abi. So a tenth is easy, right? It's
10.
1 out of 10, or 10 out of 100, 100 out of 1,000. Okay, so a fifth is going to be 20 or 200. Okay.
Right.
Now, 2/5 is going to be 400. Now,
Capisce.
that would be 2/5. If this, it's called the leg. If the leg of the angle would be 2,000, then the diagonal would be 2,400.
Correct.
But that's not what we're doing when we're doing it wrong. What we're doing is we're doing the diagonal 2,000. So now we have to get rid of the 2/5, or work at the opposite. What plus 2/5 would equal 2,000? So what we do is we do 1,428 times 0.4, so that would be 2/5. It gives us 571.2, which together, 572, let's say, plus 1428. That's what we're missing 572. So we miss 572 would be the 2/5 more of 1428, and that would equal 2000. So the Gemara's concern here, don't do a diagonal of 2000, do a straight line, do a leg of 2000, and then that will give you extra. So what's it going to look like? It will look like this over here. So first we had these corners. First we had these edges. All right. We made a tchum. Then we added corners in, full squares of corners. Now it's going to tell us how much we gain because of that. So if you remember,
Why do we need to know how much we gained? We just go by the farthest point of the city and you make your square from there, and that's the area. Who cares whether it's more or less of the tchum? It's the city, it's the city. This tchum is.
One of the ways of checking if you did it correctly is if you get the right diagonal. So let's say I'm right there at the edge of the city and I want to walk. I want to walk diagonally. So how much can I walk?
To the end of the city, wherever you want in the city.
No, I can go 2,000 amas out of the city. So if I walk 2,000 amas, I'm stuck over there. We're talking about on Shabbos or Yom Tov. So if I go to them, I'm right there. That's not with the edge of the tchum. The edge of the tchum is more than that. So I have to figure out really what's the edge of the tchum diagonally out. So out of the city, we said that if the city is 2,000, 2,000 by 2,000, that's in diameter, I'm going to get a quarter more. I'm going to get a quarter more.
I just remembered those who didn't remember to make birchas hatayra probably should, if they forgot. I forgot,
Yes.
so.
Is it doing it by a quarter? I don't know if it's adding the quarter. I think what it's doing now is it's just telling me that I have the diagonal more than the straight line is 2/5 more. That's what it's doing. The diagonal over the straight line is 2/5 more. So it's giving me 400 over there, an extra 400. That's 2/5. And then it's giving me 2,000.
So if you went from Bays and you were walking to Hay, and then you were continuing from there, you would actually gain 400. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Where's 1 second? What are you telling me? Where's Bays and Hay?
The one you just gave an example from 49.
Okay. Yeah. If I'm walking from here and I walk to Hay, yeah. So I've gained 400 on this side, 400 on that side. And in this box, I gain 800. It's 2,000 plus an extra 2/5 would be an extra 800. Okay, now let's see it in the Gemara itself. See what we're talking about. So let's start the Bryce again. You turn the city into a square. It used to be a circle. You make it into a square. On the second line from the top. Then you put squares for the tchumen. 2,000 amas by 2,000 amas. Now it looks like a plus sign, right? And you make those into squares, those 2,000 amas. Now when you're talking about the corners, don't measure from the middle of the corner, from the vertex. Alpayim amma, 2,000 amas, out. Neshumafsidas is obvious, because you're going to lose the corners, the edges that could really go further than that. Elamevi tavla mirubas. Rather, what you do is you bring another square, shu alpayim amma, and I place it into the corners. So I have 4 corners. I place a square 2,000 by 2,000 in each corner. We're really getting a lot more than just 2,000 amas surrounding the city. Nimtu siyem shtakeres arba meyes ama lakan arba meyes ama lakan. I'm getting 400 amas to each edge of the city just because of the square. Nimtu tchumen mishtakin ches meyes amas lakan. Shmeina meyes amas lakan. In the tchum, which doesn't have something in the center, the tchum just has, we're just going in one direction. That's a total of 800 amas to each side in the corners, up to the edge of the corner. Nimtze ir utchum and mishtakan elf amasayim lakan belf amasayim lakan. Altogether, 1,200 amas, 800 plus 400. So Avi, you're concerned about why do I need to know this? Because you have not 2,000 amas to walk outside the city, but you have 3,200 amas to walk outside the city now. If you're going in a corner,
More space.
you gain more area if you want to walk outside the city because you want to hear a drasha. There's a fabrengen, so you can walk further. Follow?
I got the 800. I didn't get the last 400.
The 400 is the city itself.
So it's 400 and 400. So now it's 800 across. But where do you get?
No. Yeah, let's do the.
It's math, Moshe. Don't worry about it.
If you look at it over here, you see the 800 down there? This is 2,000 plus 800. What we did is we had to add 2/5 would be 400 per 1,000 amas, right? It's 800 for 2,000 amas. Basically, it's 0.4 is 2/5, right? A fifth is 0.2. 2/5 would be 0.4. So it's basically 2 times 4. It's going to give me 800 extra amas because the diagonal is 2/5 longer. The hypotenuse is 2/5 longer than the legs. That's the Gemara's way of doing it.
In the picture, it says 400 from Aleph to base, from the center square, from the center circle to the end. It says 400, and then from the bottom it says 400, which comes out to what Moshe is saying, which is 400, which is 800.
No, so look, let's take the middle circle. Okay, the middle circle, which is the city.
Right.
I'm gaining 400 on each edge.
Right.
Just to get to the corner.
That's 800.
Okay, but ignore one side of this. Divide it in half. Ignore one side. Now, so this, if I'm walking in one direction, I get an extra 400 because I have a corner. The city became a square. And then I have the extra area here because I make the corners of the tchum also into a full square. So that gives me 800. Now I got 800 from the city as well, but that was on the other side. Over here, it's all on one side. The extra 400 was on the other side.
But then it's
1,200.
800.
It's
Only.
So that's what I'm missing.
It's 800 just in this square itself.
Only
Right.
if you take 400 and
Plus
makes it
400 from the edge of the city to the new edge of the city because I made the city into a square.
So then it's actually
I think it's
36 across.
We're counting.
Okay, let me explain like this. From the center of the city, or Moshe, from the center of the city to the edge of that wall is 2,000 amas.
Right.
Okay, that would be the leg of the angle. Now, how much is the diagonal from here? It's how much is the diagonal longer than the leg? It's going to be 2/5 longer. As if I make this into 4 boxes instead of one big box, I'm just going to use that corner right there.
Right.
Okay. So now it's going to be 2/5 longer. if this is 1,000 by 1,000, yeah, so 2/5 is going to be 400. Now I do the same on this side as well. So this box is, this is really 800 over, you know, from corner to corner, it's really 800, but I'm not measuring from corner to corner. I'm just measuring that extension because I'm just looking at one side. It's giving me 400 plus 800, which equals 1,200. That's what I'm gaining. All right?
Yeah, I got it.
If it's difficult for you,
No, I got it.
a lot more time trying to figure this out is difficult for me. So,
So which another corner, that's 8. I got it.
yeah.
I got it.
The Rashis are like incredible here, the way he like spells it out, the patience he has. Okay, we're holding at the word Amar Abaya. This works out the way we were explaining it. If the city is 2,000 by 2,000 amos, that's what's going to happen. Okay. Tanya was taught in the Brisa, Amar Abelazar Bar Yesi, Tchum Ar Leviam Al Payim Amma. Leviam got 48 cities, 42 cities. Plus Tari Miklat. And around their city is also a Tchum. Okay. It's 2,000 amos. However, there's a special halacha that the cities, that the area around the cities get something called migrash, which is an open area for pasture. Seimiyam elef amma migrash. Take out 1,000 amos for the migrash. Migrash is that open area. Nimtza migrash revia vashar sadasakram. Comes out that the migrash, the open area, is a quarter, and the rest is fields and vineyards. Now, don't attack me yet. Just 1 second. Minani Mili. Wait a minute for the obvious question. Where do we know this from? It says that you surround the city from the edge of the city. 1,000 amos. Surround the city with 1,000 amos of empty area. Nimtza migrash revia. Comes out that it's a quarter. Where it says revia, a quarter. 1 second. You're supposed to add 2,000 amos for the tchum, right? The tchum is 2,000 amos. 1,000 amos is the midrash. Revia, palga have. Half of 2 is 1. It's not. If you have 1,000 amos, that's half of the tchum. It's not a quarter of the tchum. Rava says, Barada mishecha asperli. Rava says that the Barada, the surveyor, he explained this to me. Okay. Set up the stage. We're dealing with the city that's 2,000 amos by 2,000 amos. Tchum kamahave. We're going to switch the way we've been calculating now. We're going to talk about area. And the way he does the area, Tchum kamahave, how much is the area? Now, I'm not sure if he did it. I have a simple way of doing this.
This is all like modern day engineers would do. It's unbelievable with their fancy equipment.
Let me see if I can do it like this. Let me just do it like this. Let's see if I can write. I can do this. Just 1 second. Let's see. Let's see, we have a city of 2,000 amos. Okay, ignore the city for now. What we're going to do is we're going to add to the edges also 2,000 amos, but each one we're going to make it into 1 by 1, all right? 1 by 1. So this is really, it comes out to 4, but okay, now we'll do the same over here. We'll do, okay, then we'll do here. So how many will we have? How many 1 by 1s will we have in total? It's really 1,000 by 1,000, but let's call it 1 by 1 for simplicity. We're going to have 16. Okay. So that is what we usually do for a tchum. We'll have to deal with the corners in a moment. So, but that's what we said before. So if you look back over here, Mishkachza b'masdavi trei alfi a trei alfi. Okay, so the city is 2 by 2. Tchum kamahava. So how much is the tchum? Shitzar, 16. So the 16 is what I just showed you here. That's the, okay. Kronos kamahava. How much are the corners? Let's add corners in. We're going to add this area in. Right? Sorry, it's not to scale. I'm removing it a drop just so you see the difference. And those are the corners. How much are the corners? We added 4 corners, and each one is 1 by 1. Oh, each one is 2 by 2, which is 4 1 by 1. So it's 4 times 4 is 16. What's 16 by 16? It's 32. Okay, so we have Kronos Kamavi Shitzar. Dal Tamnaya de Tchumen Rabba de Kronos. Okay, so we need to remove these for the Migrash, right? How many removing? 8. Okay, now we need to remove these for the Migrash, one of the corners, all right? Because that would be the 1,000 amas that would be going around the city. All right, so that's a total of Ba'arba de Kronos Kamevi Tracer. So that's 12. Tracer is 12. Nimtza Migrash Revia. Comes out that the Migrash is a quarter. 12 into 32. It's 1 second. That's not a quarter. 12 into 32 is not a quarter. 12 into 32 is, what is that? 3 into 8, right? That's more than a third. 3 into 9 would have been a third. 12 into 36 would have been a third. But this is 12 into 32. It's not even a third. What are you telling me, that the Migrash is a quarter of the Tchum? It's not a quarter. Well, first of all, it's probably half. Okay, it's not half, but it's more than a third. So this is ICR Bod Masa Shadi Alai. We'll bring in the 4 of the city. Oh, we didn't mention the 4 of the city. Okay, let's divide the city itself. Okay. Now we have a total of 36, right? Because this is 9. There's 9 blocks here of 4. So that would be 36. So we have a total of 36. So let's do a total of 36. And we're dealing with, what is this? This is, and we have 12. So 12 into 36. So it says, Akati til sahabi. That doesn't help me. It's still only a third. 12 into 36, right? 12, 24, 36. Mi sabris b'rivua ka'amar b'gula ka'amar. How do you say we're talking about a square? We're dealing with a circle. Ka'amar mruba yaser li'igul revia. How much is a square? More than a circle? It's a quarter. Dal revia minayu. In other words, what we're doing over here is we're going to I guess we're going to divide this into half. Oops. Cut that in half. Is that going to help me? I had 12.
Yeah, if you take a quarter out of 12, then you're going to get 9 out of 36. That's going to give you a quarter that you're looking
But
at.
how do I get the quarter out of 12? We're saying...
You're going to put a circle around every one of them.
Oh. So each one of these is going to be divided also. No, that's going to divide it in half. That's going to divide it in half. So what do I have now? Let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 plus 9, 10. I really only took off 2. How was it really 9?
What I was saying is you would draw a circle around all of them together. Like one big circle. And that would take out a quarter of the.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't have 36. In order for me to have 36, I need the tchum to be here. Yeah, let me just see, just 1 second. We were dealing with, oh, I see what's missing. So Dal Riva, I'm not sure if we have to round the city. Maybe the city. If I round the city like this, that would give me, it's not much of a circle, but that would give me, and then I could remove these things over here. That would give me 9, right? Because it would give me plus it. This would be 1, 2, 8. Okay, let's say it's 9 out of 36. We have to figure out how that is.
Yeah, by doing the circle instead, you're taking out 1, and then another 4 halves. That's another 2. So yeah, so that would be -3. By doing that circle over there, you're losing 1 because that's a quarter out of 4. And by taking out 4 halves, what you just did, cutting those 4 corners by half, that's another 2. So 12 minus 3 would be 9.
Yeah, the problem is when I do this circle, I'm actually removing, it looks like I'm removing half, no? I'm really supposed to be removing a quarter.
Oh, we said that a circle and a square is a quarter, right?
It's a quarter. So if I remove a quarter, then it would work, yeah. Okay. So I'm left with 9. So kama meruba yisrael equals rubia. Dal rubia minayu, if you take 3 off, a quarter off 12, it's 3 off 12. Pashalutisha, I'm left with 9. Betisha mitlasim shita riva havi. And now 9 out of 36, you see now it's really 9 out of 36, right? 9 over 36 is going to be 1 over 4. Okay, that works. Abaya Amar Mishkachas Lanami b'Masa Davi Alpha ba'Alpha Tchumen. Mishkachas b'Masa Davi Alpha ba'Alpha. Okay. Abaya says that this thing is going to work also if it's if the city is 1 by 1. Let's read it through it out. We'll do it. I'm going to have to adjust the diagram. Tchumen Kamahave. What's the tchum of a city that's 1 by 1? 1,000 amas by 1,000 amas. Very small city. Well, that's going to be Timnaya. Why is it Timnaya? So, erase what we did and then we'll wish I didn't have to erase it. Can I make another page? Okay, just remember that. Let's erase it. Okay, so now, if I have a city that's 1 by 1, okay, that's a 1 by 1. Now, I need a tchum. So I do a tchum, that's 2,000 amas. This is a 2 by 1, right? Now
If
I
you
go
want-
over here.
Want to save a diagram, just screenshot it.
Oh,
Especially if
done
you're on
that.
your phone, you just click it,
Should have
take a
done that. Okay. Okay, this is a 2 by 1. Okay, this is a 2 by 1. Okay, so this is where we're holding. Tchumen Kamahaba. What's the tchum of a city that's a 1 by 1? Tamnaya, 8. As you can see, it's 8. Right? That should be, the 1 should be up there. And this should be 2. Okay. So, because it's 4 times 2, right? 2,000 amas. Kronos Kamahaba. Oh, corners. Have to add corners here. Interesting. The corners are larger than everything else, right? Corners come out to 16. 4 times 4, right? Okay, so so what do we have here? We have 8 plus 16 is 24. Okay, that's what we have a 24 would be. Okay, now Dal arba de tchumen, arba de kronos. Take off 4 of the tchumen, because we're looking for it to get a migrash, that open area. Okay, we're taking off this. And then we're going to take off the 4 corners. Okay. So now we have what are we left with? Kamahavo. Tamnaya. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8. 8 over 24. When it says til sahabi, that's still a third. You didn't get it. You're looking for a quarter. So mi sabraspri. Vua kamar bigula kamar. Do you say we're talking about a square or we're dealing with the circle? Okay, I guess it means that the city, like we did last time, the city would be a circle. Kamar bubias illegal is revia. So this is going to be a quarter extra. Dal revia. Remove a quarter. So pashalu shisa. So if I remove a quarter, I guess because I removed that also, right? Is that how we do it? We remove those quarters. And instead of 8, where's my, how do I write? I lost it.
You're gonna get 5 3/4.
Well, I want to get I guess that's a spotlight. I don't know how to, what's it called now? I don't know how to draw now. So, that's not what I wanted. I need to turn that into a 6. Anyway, okay. So it's going to be 6 over 24. 6 over 24 is a quarter, right? So if I take off 2, then it's, okay. So Abaya says you can get it if it's a 1 by 1. What did Abaya do different than the first part? Okay, let's see.
It looks like he just took off the quarters from the tchumen, but not from the city.
No, but then that changes the 24.
That made this, no, you got the 20.
I need to leave the tchum there. And I need to see the migrash. If I condense the size of the migrash down to 6 instead of 8, because the city is, the migrash is not a square around the city. The migrash is going to be a circle around the circle city. So that's going to be only 6 instead of
Right,
8. So 6 into the original tchum
So that works.
would be 6 into 24.
Yeah.
Ravina Amar Mai Ravia de Tchumen. Ravina gives another pshat. Going back to what we said before, I didn't want to erase that. But what were the tchumen? We had the tchum itself was 32. And what was the midrash? Was 8. Oh, ignore the corners. Ignore the corners. It's not 12 into 32. It's 8 into 32. The midrash of the tchumen is 8 into 32, which is a quarter. Rav Ashi Amar Mai Ravia the Kronos. Rashi says exactly the opposite. It's a quarter of the corners, because I have 4 corners that I'm using out of 16. That's a quarter. The corners themselves were 16, right? 16,000 by 16,000, which is not 16,000. Yeah, 16,000 by 16,000. So whatever, it's 16 16 ones, 1,000 by 1,000. So that was all the corners. So if I take 4 of them, so then that's a quarter of the 16. What are you telling me? That you only do the corners for the midrash? What do you have? Just the midrash is only in the corners, the open area. The midrash has to go all the way around the whole city of Tel Aviv. It says my saviv the kronis. No, he says around means the corners. If you don't agree with me, says he sprinkled the blood all around. What does saviv mean? Means you wipe it all the way around the whole mizbeach? No. My saviv the kronis means you put it in each of the 4 corners. So achinami, my saviv the kronis, when it says there's a midrash, it just means on the corners. Amali Rev Chavivi mechuznal Rav Ashi v'kamorsha the kronis. He asks, Rav Chavivi mechuzna asks Rav Ashi, but what about when you said we were measuring the midrash as a circle? That if you measure the midrash as a circle, that's what we're trying to do. The problem is that we already gave the city, we turned the city into a square. That means that you're losing the corners of the midrash. You lose the corners of the midrash because the square protrudes into the circle more than what the circle needs to be. The circle needs to be 1,000 amas all the way around. If you put a square into it, because even though you said the city was a circle, but we also said that you turn the city into a square, you're losing those corners. The Gemara says, B'masi igulta, that the city was also a circle. Varivua, but we turned it into a square. We didn't actually make it into a square. We viewed it as a square. Did we put houses into it? We didn't put houses into it. This is just the way we measure it. There's no houses in the corners. It was an open area. You want to view it as a square? View it however you want. Doesn't matter. We're talking about its open area. Amalei Rav Chanilai Mechusna Rav Ashi Mechti. Rav Chanilai Mechusna says to Rav Ashi, 1 second. Kamari boy Yisrael Eagle Revia. He's asking a mathematical question. How much is a square more than a circle? It's a quarter. A square is more than a circle, a quarter. Now, the reason why you get this is like this. let's say you have a circle that the diameter is 1 amma. Diameter is 1 amma. And you go around, it's 3 ammas, right? Roughly. Let's say you turn it into a square. So it's an amma, by an amma, by an amma, by an amma. You go around, it's 4. So it's a quarter more, right? Kama Maruba Yasser legal Revia. It's a quarter more. From 3 to 4. It's an extra quarter. So what are you saying? Hani Tamni Meya, when you said you had 800 from 2,000 amas, you said you get 8 from 2,000 amas, you said that really you're gaining 800 amas on each side of a circle, right? 400 on each side. You said that would be 800. It's not 800. It's really Shismeya, Vishitin, Visheba, Naki Tilsabi. It's really a quarter. It should really be a quarter. Instead of doing the 2/5 thing, when you're making a square, you should really just be giving it 666. Because it's got to be, what we do is we divide it by 3, and then you add on 2,000 divided by into 3s would be 333, and you add on an extra one. So, and you add that on, so it's going to be it's a quarter from inside, right? So it's only going to be 666 amas. He says 666. He says 667 minus a third. Naki tilsa, which means 666. Right? Naki tilsa. So amalei hanimili bigula migay ribua. That's talking about when I'm putting a circle into a square. Abal balach sayna bina tvei. But when I'm doing a diagonal, the hypotenuse, we need more. The amar mar kolam sirbu amsa v'treicham shibalach sayna. Every amma that's a square is 2/5 in the diagonal, 2/5 more in the diagonal. So his question was a mathematical question. How do you do this? We have contradictory rules here. When you're matching, when you're getting when you're adding corners to a circle, you're adding a quarter. But when you're getting the diagonal, which is basically adding corners, you're adding 2/5. Yeah, that's his question. Daniel, what do you say? Does he follow?
He's asking why is it the area different, the ratio different from an area than the diagonal?
Yeah, that's what's coming out. It's coming out that the area around, basically that's his difference. It depends if I'm looking for the area or if I'm looking for the diagonal. Yeah, that's the difference. If I'm looking for the diagonal, it's 2/5. So I'm looking for the area, then it's going to be a quarter. That's the my answer. Okay.